everyone. Welcome to the HeartSet podcast, the private podcast where the host changes and the guest stays the same. I'm Kim. I'm your host for this episode. Today, we're going to be discussing relationships. And now, I'd like to introduce our sponsor and resident host, Ramona Galey. Ramona helps self starters reclaim their brilliance and leverage their personal assets into success, even if they don't believe they have any personal assets. Ramona's passionate about empowering people to focus on what they want. She's the founder of the HeartSet Academy and the Alignment Circle. You can see her full bio in the comments. Welcome, Ramona. I'm
Thank you,
looking
Kim.
forward to this topic.
I am
So,
too.
relationships, the whole deal of relationships is like huge.
It's a big thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you
So
notice
it
me doing my eyes trying to throw you off while you were talking? I was going to
no,
say
but
that's kind of
thanks.
the crux of relationships.
Yeah. How to walk the straight and narrow when you're being pulled by these pesky humans.
But do
I
you want to walk the straight and narrow?
That's a good question. So now we're talking, we've talked about authenticity and whatnot.
hmm hmm
So you're getting aligned and you're getting more authentic. What happens with the people that are around you?
That is such a
Do
great question.
they come along? What if they don't? What if everything else falls apart?
It's a great question, and I don't
Mhm.
mean to make quite so light of it because it's a urgent question for a lot of
Yes,
people. Like
it
we
is.
love our peeps, right? We don't want to lose our friends, we don't want
No.
to lose our spouses, and all that. And there is a bit of a tendency. This is what I've seen. I can really just speak for what I've
Sure.
seen with both myself and with my clients. So there can be a phase. It doesn't have to be. It really depends on the relationship and who all's involved.
Mhm.
But there can be a stretch of time when we start getting really into alignment. We start finding our authentic voice. We start really focusing on what we're thinking and therefore how we're feeling. We're starting to limit our exposure to things that we know that throws us off. In other words, we start taking some responsibility for the outcomes that we're getting.
Mhm.
And when we start feeling that unconditional love of source, well, the first thing we want to do is tell everybody about it. In the vernacular, they call that proselytizing.
Mhm.
I'm here to tell you it doesn't go over well.
Right?
so so here's the thing. When you're feeling true unconditional love, and so, okay, I'll relate this back to my own travels, that when I first started learning all this material, I did not have a partner. My partner had just passed away. We had just moved together to a new town where we didn't know very many people. We had a few friends there that we had, well, acquaintances that we had met, while we were there, and they were very nice, but they weren't deep, long held, friends. Or my family was in Maryland, I was in Florida, so I was pretty much on my own, other than who I could contact on the phone or on Zoom, and meet in that way. And I started proselytizing, and it didn't go well. People didn't like that, and I don't blame them. I don't like it either when somebody does that
Mhm.
to me. But I was doing it alone. I
Mhm.
was doing it mostly alone, right? So one of the reasons I started this group is to give support just in that specific area. So in relationships, when anybody around you, what we'll call the peanut gallery, right, which lovingly including, partners and children and people
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
you love dearly and want to please,
Yeah.
when they start noticing anybody in the circle change, there's a shift that starts to happen, right? People start shifting either towards you to say, hey, come back, or they shift away from you, like, I'm not really sure what's going on, or they just shift to the side in this kind of unconscious dance of the dance of intimacy, as they call it, the
Mhm.
dance of life, because
Mhm.
we've all been through shifts. Anybody who's been
Sure.
through empty nest or menopause or
Mhm.
menstruation or coming of age, for puberty, whatever. I mean, we've all had these life shifts. So when we are going through this shift where we are coming back to ourselves, we're coming away from the shell, from the facade, the armor, the mask. We're coming back to ourselves. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's perfect, and it's loving, and it's loved, and it feels good. and
Mm-hmm.
it feels good. So here's what frequently happens, especially in spouses. You might
Mm-hmm.
have a marriage that has actually been on the rocks for quite a while. It started off great, and then life happened. Neither one of you had really the skills to slough off anything unwanted and come right back to wanted. You didn't have unconditional love in your lives. And so the relationship has gone like this, and now it's pretty low. And I have seen this multiple times where, as a direct result of the work that the client was doing with me, with Oprah, I should say, and that reemergence or re-recognition, re-allowing of unconditional love, the spouse finally can start to relax in ways that they didn't even know that they weren't relaxed. You didn't know it, they didn't know it, but there becomes the potential, I would say the probability, not the certainty. It depends on a lot of things, but there's a lot of times I've seen this happen over and over where the relationship starts to come back together again in this really beautiful way. Now, if you've got a cranky, old friend who complains about everything, and you're learning that complaining really drags your vibration down, just like the news does, just like
Mm-hmm.
politics do, and you start limiting your time with that person, you care about them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't stop caring about them,
Mm-hmm.
but you do start to let them go a bit. There is some of that. But I have found that the people closest to you want the best for you, whether they know what that is or not. There might be a little bit of initial pushback, but typically what I've seen is, I'm so glad you're feeling better. That's the most common sentence that gets quoted back to me. Do you know what my husband said to me this morning? He said he was glad I was feeling better. I've been so afraid that he was not going to support me in this, and he does. He wants what's good for me, and he can tell this is good for me. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And then also there are more relationships than just our loved ones. For
Yeah.
example, I've worked with a lot of coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had coaches come in and say, I am having a little problem with a client that I don't understand why I'm having it, and I shouldn't have it. I feel like I don't like this person. And I love everybody. I want to be non-judgmental. I want to be accepting. And yet
Mm-hmm.
this one client is really pushing my buttons. Well, that's a relationship issue, isn't it? That's
Mm-hmm.
something about you is reminding me about something about me that I don't like. That's all that is, right? It's projection.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this, you're doing this. They say, well, you point one finger this way. How many fingers are pointing back at you? Three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that is. It's like, well, something about this person is reminding me about something that I don't like about myself. Again, that's unconditional love, and authenticity heals that. Authenticity heals that. Unconditional love heals that. Connection to source heals that. And
Wow.
so now you can hear your clients with a clear mind, with an open heart. You can actually show up for your clients in a whole new way, even as good as a practitioner that you are. And I'm talking about whether you're a doctor or a therapist or a coach or a therapist of some sort, like a hypnotherapist or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, energy work, whatever it is, massage therapy. I've had a massage therapist once that was going through a little bit of this. So whatever you're doing, when you're in service to others, and then you find that one person that's kind of bugging you, yeah, you could say, listen, I'm graduating you out of my practice, or I'm not even, you're a prospect, I'm just not even going to invite you in, I don't feel like we're a good fit. Or you can allow the unconditional love and your own authenticity emerging beautifully, unflowering, unfolding, as you allow that, as you invite that in and say, I would love to feel unconditional love in this particular circumstance. And as you set that intention, the more you do this, on the more different circumstances or different topics, the easier it gets and the quicker it flows. And pretty
Mm-hmm.
soon, you love everybody. But the most important part when you're beginning is, they're going to love you more because they're going to be able to relax some. Because as I take care of myself, as I take responsibility for my own frame of mind, for my own state of being, for my own emotions, for my own results, then I kind of let everybody else off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they're used to being on the hook, yes, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment. But I see mostly high levels of support coming from your immediate loved ones when you start on this work. That's
Interesting.
that's my favorite part of this whole thing. And the rest of the relationships, it really just depends. And it's just really important for you to remember that you're in charge of your relationships. You
Mm-hmm.
choose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't choose how they act, but you choose how you feel about them.
Mm-hmm.
You choose what you think about them, what you think about how you feel about them. In other words, you're in charge of all of that. And that may not sound like much to somebody who's used to following, maybe like what the songs on the radio say, the pursue somebody at any cost, or you complete me, that whole concept of you're my soulmate and I
Mm-hmm.
can't live without you. That's certainly where I was with my late partner. I was
Mm-hmm.
in a very codependent relationship. She wasn't, which was hilarious, but I was.
Huh.
She was relatively unentangled. I was very entangled. I can look back on that now and I feel I'm not beating up on myself. I feel very much love for myself for that. But that codependence, that need, that attachment, that entanglement, that all gets healed from
Mm-hmm.
authenticity work, from the reconnection with unconditional love. That's why I love it so much, because we're really here for the relationships. It's a great topic. I really appreciate you bringing it up because
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge topic. So now I'm going to ask you, was there anything specific about relationships you wanted to hear?
Well, what if you're feeling like, I've changed so much. This relationship is no longer satisfying, or, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's great if the person starts being better and the marriage gets closer. What if they don't? What if,
Okay. Yeah.
you feel a sense of empowerment, and
Hmm.
you feel like it's okay for me to be selfish now, and I want something else.
Yeah.
So do you ever have people that just awaken to a whole new, like perspective, and realize that this isn't working? This is not.
I would say that they awaken, but I wouldn't say it's a whole new perspective and it's never a surprise. In
Hmm.
other words, when you know something deep down inside, when any of us know anything deep down
Uh-huh.
inside, and then circumstances start to change, or our perceptions start to change, or whatever it is, something starts to change, and we feel ourselves either being pushed together or pulled apart of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something unwanted and you feel it pulling away, that's
Mm-hmm.
perfect, right? You just stay
Uh-huh.
right with yourself. You stay right
Uh-huh.
with your alignment. You stay with what you want, and you allow whatever happens naturally to happen because it's going along with what you desire, right? Now, if you find yourself wanting more and more of a certain person and they seem to be pulling away, then that's a whole nother issue. It's still out of
Hmm.
your control.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the same remedy. As you come back to yourself, you say, okay, what I'm wanting is, and I can tell because this person, I can feel this person pulling away, let's say, and I want to release that person because that's conditional. I want to come back to what is it that I actually love about that person, him or her. I like the way he or she feels, the vibration that they give off. I like that how much we had in common. I like the way we felt together as we made love. The physical sensations were different from anything I'd experienced before. So you start building up an awareness, almost like a list, or a compilation kind of focus on all the things that please you about that person. And
Mm-hmm.
as you focus on that instead of the lack of that person, so in other words, you're focusing on the existence of
Mm-hmm.
what you want, the essence of what you want, and you're letting the lack of the person, the perception of the lack of the person, to fall away, one of two things will happen. That person can come back because you've paved a way for
Mm-hmm.
a person who matches you to come to you. You've cleared the path. So the entanglement of, oh, please don't leave me, that's enough to send somebody away.
Yeah.
That one thing right there, people don't realize how powerful they are. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. That's enough to push somebody away.
Uh-huh.
If they're not a match to that kind of entanglement, they're just like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you release that entanglement, whether you were ever aware of it or not, but as you come to, like, I really appreciate these things, I really, I want to have these things in my life, and I'm going to hold these desires lightly. I'm going to appreciate them. And as soon as I start thinking, well, how can I do that? I'm going to change the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to come back to it when I'm 11. I'm going to daydream about it. I'm going to kind of have a little flirtation with it. I'm going to have a fantasy about it. And as soon as I start saying, yeah, but so and so won't, okay, change the subject. Oh, look, squirrel, as we say.
Uh-huh.
And so as you go through that, and it takes a little practice. It might take a little bit of time. It's not something you just snap your fingers, but invariably, one of two things happens. That same person can actually come back because
Mm-hmm.
you're no longer pushing them away. And in which case, of course, you're going to want to take it nice and slow and easy. Not necessarily slow, but easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't re-engage the old entanglement. As soon as you
Yes.
feel it, let it go. It'll be really easy now. You'll be able to identify it because you've got authenticity on your side. You've got unconditional love in your arsenal of tools. And so
Yeah.
you'll be able to let that entanglement go and just take a little bit of finer focus. Or that person will continue to leave and other people will start to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you hold any vibration purely, then the people around you, the people, the animals, the plants, everybody who's around you who has a
Mm-hmm.
vibrational essence can come to you if they're a match. And that's really all you want. You want to be the
Yeah.
change, as they say,
Yeah.
be the change you want to see in the world, be the
Mm-hmm.
lightness, be the joy, be the love, and then allow whatever is a match to that to come to you. You no longer have to have any walls. Relationships so much is about walls and boundaries and armoring and masks in the
Mm-hmm.
mainstream, right?
Yeah.
We're about letting all of that go in
Yeah.
a way where we're still safe, very
Mm-hmm.
safer than ever, safer than ever. And so
Wow.
they come. And whoever they are, we can enjoy. So we
Mm-hmm.
can't control whether that one person actually stays or goes, but we can increase the odds that if they're a match, that they'll come back, but by controlling ourselves, not them, never them.
Yeah. Right. So the answer is always in control your own self. Come back to the
Yeah.
unconditional love and
Yep.
the yeah. It's always starts inside of us.
Yes. And always remembering that you don't have to create the unconditional love, that it's
Yeah.
there already,
Uh-huh.
that you're made of it. You've just
Right.
been
Yeah.
covering it in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're releasing those old habits to let it go, to let the coverings go, to
Mm-hmm.
let the mask go. And what's left is so powerful and so strong
Mm-hmm.
and so like durable and so dependable and so stable and so grounded. It feels like you can almost feel the pulse of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's like living on a big, huge beating heart, kind of, like that
Uh-huh.
stretches as far as you can see or hear or feel.
Mm.
This big, huge heart that just boom. There's this stability there that makes it easy to accept somebody else's decision. For example, I can't
Uh-huh.
control if somebody we might be the perfect match in the whole world, and if he or she is in resistance to it for whatever reason, my third grade teacher said blah blah blah, whatever it
Uh-huh.
is. Like,
Uh-huh.
we humans, we can make a lot of mountains out of
Mm-hmm.
molehills. And so if that person just is done, there's nothing we can do about it. But we don't have to be sad. We don't have to have any loss at all, because
Mm.
we're already being that ideal relationship in our
Oh.
relationship with ourselves and with source.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so anybody who comes along comes to join the party rather than to create the party for us. We've already
Ah,
got the party going on. We're
that's a
issuing
really good.
invitations.
Yeah, that's a
I got the
really great
party.
analogy. Really great. Yeah,
Right? It
exactly.
really is like
Good.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. That's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really can't spend time really caring what other people do. I mean, in
It's true.
essence, if
Yeah, it
we've
pulls
got
us out
it,
of alignment every time we
yeah.
do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Care about the
Well,
person, but not what they do or say or think or feel. But
yes.
I want to make that distinction really clear, because every once in a
Yes.
while clients really get confused on
Right.
this. Like, but I care about her. I can't stop caring
Mm-hmm.
about her. No, no, you care about the person, but you can't care about the things, the parts of it you can't control, because that's crazy
Yes.
making.
Yeah. That's right.
Reminds me of there was a book that came out probably about 15 years ago. I saw it in the grocery store, and I never actually read it, but I thought it was a cool title. People can't drive you crazy if you don't give them the keys.
That's
That
great.
kind of
Yeah.
sums it up, doesn't it?
Right. And, yeah, quit dangling those keys in front of them.
Right?
Yes,
Stop
right.
giving them the keys. Yeah, stop even showing them where the keys are hidden.
Hmm.
Don't make a game out of it. Put the keys in your pocket and walk away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And that's kind of the sum total of relationships. We
Hmm.
come to this planet, to this being, this physical plane, for relationships. Because
Hmm.
relationships are the epitome of what we're doing here. We didn't come here to just be alone and sort things out and leave. We came to sift and sort and figure stuff out and get a lot of expansion going and then enjoy it with each other and share it with each other and mix it up with each other. Relationship is the ultimate challenge. It's also the ultimate payoff of what we're doing
Okay.
here. So
Okay.
relationships, it's a huge subject. I really
It's
appreciate your bringing
really
it
is a
to the
huge
table.
subject.
Yeah, and we could
Yeah,
maybe do another 10 episodes on it. But
absolutely.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the bottom line of it. That's the crux of it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Relationships.
right. Wow. That's so cool. Wow. Just to think that you're falling in love with yourself first, and then what comes to you from that
Yes.
is yeah,
Yes.
really beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I
Mhm.
love the way you put that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that we didn't cover? You want
Can't think of anything. I think we covered everything under the sun.
to? I don't think so.
We'll think of stuff as soon as we hang up.
Sure, of course. All right. This was
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
fun. Thank
This was
you.
fun. Thank you. All
Okay.
right. Take care.
Bye
All
bye.
right.